Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Allison. Thank you for being here. I thought for today's video I would show you guys kind of how I edit my photos, or some of the things that I do when I shoot to achieve the look that I do on my feed. I get this question a lot and I haven't really answered it before because there isn't one specific thing that I do, but there are certain things that I do to achieve the look that I have, but there isn't one thing. Like, I don't use a preset, so it's kind of hard to explain it. So I thought that I would do a screen recording and show you guys. I filmed this video once already and realized I wasn't screen recording, so now I'm doing it again. But anyway, the number one tip I have, honestly, is when you are shooting, the main thing that you want to focus on is the lighting. If you have good lighting, your photos are going to turn out better. You can really customize how they look in editing when you have good lighting. When you have good lighting, your photos are just going to turn out better, I promise you. So one big tip that I have when you are shooting is when you are in your camera and you are just like ready to take a picture, if you are looking to get more of a darker photo, which is kind of like what my editing style is right now, at least my feed's a little bit on the darker side. I like since it's winter, I kind of like am into that right now. But one thing that you can do that I really like is in your camera app on your iPhone, you can tap on the focus of the photo, and if you see that little box with the sun, if you just drag the sun down, you are just lowering the exposure, and then you can get kind of like a darker photo that way. So that's the number one thing that I would suggest doing if you're looking for a darker feed. And then it's really cool because you like don't really have to edit it much at all. So yeah, that is one thing that I do. And then if you aren't shooting in a low exposure like that and you still want to achieve that look, I can show you guys kind of like what I do there. So if you go into your photos and you open up whatever photo that you want to edit, and then you just hit edit in your camera app, you can lower the exposure there, and then it'll get a little bit darker. And then sometimes I play with the brilliance, and also I usually turn down the highlights, and then sometimes I'll bring up the brightness a little bit. And you can also play with the saturation and the vibrance if you don't want your colors as bright. And then usually I'll add like a tiny bit of warmth, and then you kind of achieve that like darker look that we shot a photo of before. So that's one thing that I do. Another app that I use often is Lightroom. So I'll show you kind of what I do there. So if you open up your Lightroom app and you just choose what photo it is that you want to edit. So I will pick, let's do this one. So usually maybe I'll do like a little bit of a crop. And then again, I'll turn the exposure down a little bit, but it gets a little bit trickier on the Lightroom app because there are more features that you can do. Like, you can really play with the colors. You can just sort of like customize it a little bit more. So see how when I turn the exposure down here, I'm gonna have to really play with the colors here to achieve the look that I want, but I'll show you how I do that. So if I turn the exposure down, usually I lower the highlights, lower the whites, and then I'm going to go into color and see how the blue is like super saturated. I'm going to kind of get rid of that. I will lower the saturation there, and maybe, let's see, I can pull up the oranges in the sky, maybe some of the reds. And then you can also just, with all the colors, maybe lower the vibrance and the saturation just a little bit. And then another thing that I really like about Lightroom is that there is a color selection tool that you can use, so you don't have to just stick to blues. You can like really go in and like get the exact specific color that it is that you want to change. So maybe I want to bring up the saturation a little bit there. And something that I do a lot is see how my white shoes are sort of looking a little bit cool toned. They kind of look a little bit blue. So maybe I'll tap on that, lower the saturation or the luminance or whatever it is, so that you can get the look that you really want on that white color. And then something else that I really like about Lightroom is, so all of the things that I edited on this photo, say I want to apply the same exact edits on another photo, you can go up to these three little dots on the corner and hit copy settings. And then if you open up another photo, from the same shoot, so like you'll have the same lighting and everything like that. So if you open up another one, and then you can just kind of like paste those settings on here and it'll create the same thing, almost like a preset type of thing, but since I'm doing it differently for every picture, I don't have a preset and I just sort of like copy onto the other photo. Another app that I've been using a little bit more recently is this DazCam app that I think is really cool. It sort of gives like a Polaroid effect to your photos, so you can kind of like choose which Polaroid you like. I think that I usually use this one, and then you can also get rid of the borders, which is usually what I do. So you can just open whatever photo it is that you want to use, and then it creates sort of like a Polaroid effect on that, which is really cool. Another app that I really like that I'll show you guys, I use this app all the time and I really think it's such a lifesaver, is the app called Retouch, and this kind of allows you to get rid of any unwanted things in like the background of your photos or whatever it is. So a lot of times I'll use it to remove like light switches or stuff like that. So if you just go into the app and you hit this object removal tool, and you can kind of just like color over whatever it is that you want to remove, and it totally like gets rid of it from the picture, which is so awesome. So now I have no light switches in my photo, and so you can just like kind of get rid of whatever it is that you don't want, maybe in the background of your photo. I've used it to remove if I have like a mark on my shoes or on my shirt or something like that, you can get rid of it, which is really cool. Another app that I really like to use is called Snapseed. So you can open a photo, and then the thing that I really like about this one is this expand tool, so you can kind of like expand your photo, which is really cool. Sometimes it like gets a little messed up and you sort of have to like fix it, but I really like this tool if you want to make your photos bigger or if you want to seem like farther away from the camera. It's really cool for that. The other tool that I use to plan my feed, I thought I would mention this, is called Preview, and I really love this one because it really helps you plan your feed. You can move your photos around to see like what looks best next to each other, so I really love that one. And yeah, I think that's everything. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope these tips were helpful. Let me know if you use any of these techniques too, or if you end up using them after you watch this video. If you use any of my tips to edit your photos, please tag me on Instagram. I would love to see them. Leave me any comments or questions that you have down below. Send me a DM on Instagram if you have any other questions, and make sure you are following there. And yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope I see you next time.